Clear ಇದೆಲ್ಲ? Okay.
Yes.
See now, calculus we have been discussing for quite some time. So what I thought is I just will have a quick revision what we did, and then we'll continue with today's session. See now, what we did in session 1 was we tried to list the pathogenesis of calculus, and we also tried to list the ailments and the effects of ailments. Okay. And in session 2, which was mainly we tried to evolve a mental picture of calculus, and I tried to give you the emotional and the intellectual and the will part of calculus in session 2 and 3. So in brief, session 1 and session 2, this is what we did. And today we will be talking about a very important aspect of calculus. Now, before I start with what I'm going to try to tell you, I'll just share a small case and then we'll move further. See, calculus is a drug which I am exploring in detail of late. So many of the cases that I'll be sharing today will not have a direct relevance to calculus. Okay, but somewhere you'll see that there is some connect between what I'm trying to teach you today and what I'm trying to share today. Okay, so I'll just share a small case, a very recent case. We had a gentleman with fever, and it was a very bad case of fever. He had high fever. It was around 102 was the fever that he had. And this being an acute case, we tried to understand what was the cause, and the cause that he gave us was whole night, he slept under AC, which is used to do, but that day the AC was very, in a very minimum, AC was high, and then even the clothing was not very appropriate. And the probable cause he gave us was, sir, must be I got exposed too much to AC. And in the morning or in the afternoon when we saw him, what we also saw was he was very restless and all. So he was chilly, he was thirsty, okay, and he was restless. So one simple remedy I gave him arsenicum, but nothing helped, and the fever continued. See, now this case becomes very important in the present scenario, okay, because corona is something that is bringing a panicky state among many of the public. So this guy was very much worried about the corona part, and he felt the people in and around will start ridiculing him, and a lot of thoughts used to get. And one more very important thing we also observed was his appetite was high. So we took appetite increased, dull, chilly, thirstless, and delusion will be discussed, etc., etc. Something that came into my mind, and I also gave him Staphylococcus aureus 1M, but fever continued. So fever was going high, and every time when he takes Calpol or Dolo 650, the fever would come down. Otherwise, the fever continued. Meaning, after Calpol is better, means my medicine, whatever arsenicum I gave, or I also gave him Staphylococcus aureus, those two things did not help. So what I thought was, somewhere I was missing something, and I thought I'll approach this case in a different angle. Instead of going behind the mind part, I tried to take in some particulars, and we did have some PQRS particulars in this case. And what was that very important PQRS we saw was this guy would have bad cough muscle pain during fever, very bad cough muscle pain. So that was one thing I took. And he also had coldness. Coldness, not everywhere. Coldness he felt more in the soles. See, you know how hot it is. In spite of this being so hot, he used to wear socks because he was feeling very cold. Okay, and then hunger increased fever during. So if you repetize all these things, like pain, cough muscles, fever during, and coldness fever during, and hunger increased during fever. And one more peculiar symptom we got here was he was feeling very cold, but the face part uh, helped him with cold water application. So they used to take a cloth, dip it in cold water, and then they used to apply it to his face. So this was the presentation that we had. Can you think of any remedies here, or what remedies come to your mind? I've already given him arsenic amal. I've also given him Staphylococcus aureus. Two important remedies, absolutely no change. And he has been popping in Calpol, and whole night he would not get sleep, assuming, what if this is corona, I will be quarantined, how will the neighbors react to the situation, and whole night he would get disturbed. So this was the small case that we took up. And what remedies can you think of? For what rubrics? Rubrics I have given you: pain, cough, muscles, fever during, hunger, increase, heat during, and I also told you that coldness of soles, fever during. So what remedies can you think of? You can use the chat box, or you can unmute and you can give me the remedies that you have. Typical intermittent fever: chills followed by heat followed by sweating. Typical intermittent fever. So no inputs. Very good. China, camphor, phosphorus, beautiful. Okay. Now, Dr. Lata has told China, Dr. Kiran has told camphor, Namrata has told phosphorus. Okay. Now, why not phosphorus, Dr. Namrata? Because this gentleman had desire for warm drinks. So whenever warm drinks come, phosphorus will be ruled out. Now, camphora is a good thought. Even I did think of camphora, but Dr. Kiran, why I did not give camphora here is there was something very, very characteristic, that coldness. See, coldness was missing. Generally, camphora has coldness. When coldness was missing, and what was very, very characteristic in this case, that heat of the head, and that has to be applied, cold application, and then it feels better. By mistake, if a drop of water falls on his hand or the leg or any other part of the body, he would start shivering. He would start yelling and shouting. So he wanted water. This was the beauty of the case. Quickly, can somebody tell so that we can move further? Now, the remedy that I gave him here was China Ars Vanam. China Ars Vanam. Okay, somebody has told China. So now arsenic, you all know, has that characteristic symptom: head in fridge and rest of the body outside. So the entire body he wanted warm, only the head he wanted it to be cold. Now that is the beauty of the remedy. And China Ars was given. Trust me, after 6 hours, there was no need for paracetamol. And another very important thing, what made me think of China is, China also has this feeling of tormented. Okay, Dr. Muktinder also beautifully described the other day. China has got this thoughts of being tormented. So this man felt tormented, or the thoughts that he had, like, what my neighbors will think, what will happen to my people at home, etc., etc. So all those things were considered, and then the remedy prescribed was China. So now why I'm trying to narrate this case, a fresh case which we saw last week, was generally we get fascinated with mind symptoms. And that's what I did when I prescribed Staphylococcus aureus, and even Ignitia was given in between. So I was more worried about the mind part. I missed the coldness he was complaining related to the soles. I missed the calf pains, I missed the restlessness. I missed that cold application, especially for the head part. Those things were missed, and those were the particular syphilitic of that particular case. And then, of course, we took tormented feeling. He had desires for fruits, etc., etc. They all will fit into China later. But then my entry there was through all those symptoms. So my class for today, whatever I want to try to share you here is, please also give importance to the physical syphilitic entry points, which can be very, very, very important. Okay. So with this small case, where I've emphasized the importance of physical syphilitic entry points, we'll try to understand what syphilitic physical entry points you have in Cocculus indicus. Okay. So now whenever we talk of Cocculus, what comes to our mind is that it's a very good remedy for traveling sickness. So we will keep this in our mind, and we'll start from this, that Cocculus is a beautiful remedy for traveling sickness. Can anybody quickly tell me that what exactly is the pathophysiology behind traveling sickness? Can somebody quickly? We are running short of time.
Accommodation is not.
Okay.
Accommodation.
One at a time. Okay. See, some doctors says a problem with accommodation. Beautiful. I go with it. Yes. Anything else? See, accommodation.
Vomiting center and the traveling, the motion center, both are nearby. So one other is trigger, the next will be triggered. So that vomiting will be happening.
Okay, chalo, very good. Yeah. Anybody who can give us little more clarity? Now, these things are very, very important, because if you understand the pathophysiology, the prescription becomes very, very easy. Very easy. Okay. So now what you see is what causes. Now, there are three very important things you need to understand when you talk of traveling sickness. Your vestibular apparatus, which is situated in your ear, the brain, especially the cerebellum, the cerebrum, and of course the eyes. These three organs, they play a very important role. So message from ear goes to your brain and then it goes to your eyes, or vice versa. Now what is happening here is, in a person with traveling sickness, there is always an imbalance between what they see and what they feel. Okay, so there is a conflict among senses. Now this is what will send wrong signals to your brain, and brain is confused, and this is what will give rise to vomiting. So three very important organs play a role here: the inner ear or the vestibular apparatus, the brain, and of course your eyes. Okay, so this is in short. I'll not go into the details. You can refer books. Now, coming to the homeopathic point of view, can you people recall the remedies for traveling sickness? What are all the common remedies for traveling sickness?
Peridone.
Common remedy. Okay, pteridion, very good. Agreed,
Tobacco.
beautiful. Tobacco, yes. Yes, agree. Tobacco. Petroleum, good. Yeah. One more important remedy: pteridion, tobacco, and of course we also have Cocculus. Yes, Cocculus is there. That is the main focus. Yes, Cocculus.
Nitric acid.
Petroleum. Yes, nitric acid. Yes, so many remedies. Now, having told about the remedies, now what is the approach in homeopathy? See, before we knew the right homeopathy, we generally used to give Cocculus, because Cocculus was the only remedy we knew. I mean, at least I knew when I was a beginner. Anybody who comes to my clinic with traveling sickness, blindly I used to prescribe Cocculus. As I evolved with homeopathy, then I realized it's a wrong method that I've been practicing, because traveling sickness is a GCS symptom. It is a genetical constitution symptom, and you have to treat this genetically, with a constitutional remedy. Okay, so I'll just here again share a small case of a child. Child is some 5 years old girl, and she stays in Atinagar. It's some 8 kilometers from my clinic. From her place, if she has to come to my clinic, she would literally vomit thrice. Okay, now I got one symptom, and what is that symptom is traveling sickness. But just because she is having traveling sickness, I can't prescribe her Cocculus. Okay. Now, when we understood the case of this particular child, this child turned out to be a very stubborn child, a very haughty child. And what the mother used to tell is, she goes to a play school, and there it is mandatory for the child to speak in English. Okay. And this girl would never speak in English. She would always speak in Kannada. Okay. And when the madam says, no, this is what I talk. If you want to talk in my language, otherwise you don't talk. As simple as that. 4 years old girl. And she would continue to speak in Kannada, but never she would attempt speaking in English. Okay. So, and few more symptoms. And the remedy that I prescribed her was, any guess which is the remedy? I know one rubric we ask, and we can't ask you for a remedy, is a wrong method. But then, at least my aim today is, please don't blindly give calculus for traveling sickness. Okay. Now a very hearty child, somebody rightly they have told, Carmagam, yes, absolutely right, doctor. The remedy he says was Platina. Platina 1M, one dose was given, and they are from Udupi. Okay. After a month, they had to travel to Udupi, and after traveling to Udupi, after reaching the home, the mother immediately sends me a WhatsApp. Sir, first time in the history of my child's birth, since 4 years, she has not even vomited once in the entire travel of 8 to 9 hours. And Udupi is area which has got a lot of gut section. In spite of all that, she has not vomited. So please prescribe a remedy homeopathically, meaning take the mind, take the physicals, take the thermals, take the entire case and then prescribe. And shockingly, you also have Platina under traveling sickness, 1 mark. Okay, but for me, this case beautifully worked with Platina. Okay, so based on the constitution, each person will present with different symptoms. This is also something I want to highlight here. They can present to you with mental symptoms. They can present to you with different physical symptoms. Okay, for example, anxiety riding, fear of riding. See, when you take fear of riding, please make sure why this particular patient developed fear. Was there a past history of accident? So he or she developed fear of riding will not become important for us. Okay. Now, what are the common physical symptoms a person presents to us with traveling sickness? This is very important. Quickly, what are the common symptoms they present?
Nausea.
Nausea,
Nausea,
vomiting,
vomiting.
Very good. Nausea, vomiting. Good. Any other symptoms you can think of?
giddiness.
Okay. Giddiness, headache. Yes. Good. Headache, nausea. Fine. Okay. So based on the symptoms, you can decide the remedy. I'll just share a few remedies here so that you get some clarity. And what is the miasm? Miasm of traveling sickness. So the miasm here is, yeah, it is exaggeration. Absolutely right. It is sorosyphilis. Not everybody of us will vomit. Okay. And it is something that is exaggerated. So miasm is mainly sorosyphilitic. I'll quickly give you indications of calculus, and the PPT will be shared to you on YouTube. So you need not make a note, at least try to understand. Now in calculus, specifically, if you try to understand why there is traveling sickness, the traveling sickness in calculus is mainly because of the problem with accommodation. So imagine a person sitting in a car and he sees another vehicle quickly moving. Okay, so he will have problems with accommodation. And then what I told you, the vestibular apparatus, the brain, the eye, those triangle. So that mechanism gets a little disturbed and they can start throwing. So what are the common problems calculus has as part of traveling sicknesses? They can have diarrhea. These are all 3+. I've marked in red so that you get some clarity. Nausea, headache, vomiting, diarrhea. And what I've used in green, it indicates is the only remedy. Seasickness in climacteric period, this is the only remedy. Seasickness better by closing eyes, again this is the only remedy, calculus. Somebody was talking about petroleum, nausea with or without vomiting, there is diarrhea. And beauty of petroleum is vertigo is felt more in the occiput. And again, the only remedy which has weakness which comes from riding is petroleum. Okay. Now pteridion is somebody who contributed pteridion. Travelers shut his eyes, when it is moving fast. For example, it can be a boat, it can be a ship, it can be a vehicle. When it is moving fast, they can't tolerate. They have to close their eyes. Okay, and they feel better by sipping warm water. So traveling sickness, some patient comes to you and they say, sir, if I drink coffee, if I drink, they may take water in flask and they may drink water and they feel better. The only remedy you can think of here is pteridion. Nausea and vomiting, aggravation, closing eyes, motion, noise. And one more beautiful indication of pteridion, and this is the only remedy is I feel nausea more when the vehicle is moving fast. For example, if it is being driven fast, that's when you see traveling sickness or nausea and delirium. Okay. Another remedy, last remedy that we'll be comparing here is tobacco. Cold clammy sweat, which you all know. Okay, cold clammy sweat, very important. Apart from cold climate sweat, what you also have in this thing is fainting. So tobacco presentation is the faint, vomiting renewed by least motion. Any small movement will bring on vomiting. See this last statement, beautiful statement. When you are confused between cocculus and tobacco, which one to give? The nausea, vomiting is more in tobacco when compared to cocculus. Okay. Anybody would like to comment on borax? Anybody on borax?
Downward
Traveling
motion.
sickness?
Downward motion.
Very good, absolutely right. Downward motion. Okay. So, for example, if they're going uphill, they'll have absolutely no problems. When they're coming down, they have issues, they have problems. Okay. One simple case I'll share here again, and hope you'll not mind. It's not related to cocculus, but my idea is I want to give you maximum so that you can take home maximum. We had a very young girl, 22 years old girl who delivered recently, 1.5 months back she delivered. And she came to me with a problem, very important problem. And what was the problem is, Dr. Saab, मेरे को दूध निकाल के देना पड़ता है बच्चे को. So how do you interpret this case? Simple. 22-year-old girl delivered for the first time. She comes to me with this particular problem. What is it? Dr. साहब दूध जम जाता है and दूध मेरे को निकाल के मेरा बेटे को पिलाना पड़ता है. So must be after 10 minutes we'll have to rejoin. Before we rejoin, let's discuss this case. Now, how do you approach this case? How do you go ahead with this case? Anybody? Now, why is it that she has to keep this hot water bag and then she has to extract the milk and then she has to feed the child? Why? Hope you are all there. No response.
So it's my
You can,
guess because you're discussing about borax. I think she has to bend, hold the child and bend and give the milk. So because of
chalo.
seeing down or my guesswork, sir, this is.
Yeah, no problem, sir. You are free to share your views. Yeah, see, Dr. Harsha has something very, I don't want to use the word innovative, but then anyway, borax, but good presence of mind. What he says is must be the mother has to bend. Can you think something beyond that? Okay. Please say once in English, sir, that symptom. See, now what is that symptom is, see, like this child, this lady, 22-year-old lady who delivered 1.5 months back, she is not able to feed the child, meaning she has to literally extract the milk and then she has to put it into the bottle and then she has to give it to the child. Now, this is the situation. This is why she came to me, sir, do something. Now, simple thing is, how do you approach this case? How do you approach this? What should run in your mind? Apart from what Dr. Harsha has given us, it's a nice thought.
Why she
But
does not want to
unfortunately,
feed
I
her
can't take
kid?
it.
Problem or
Huh?
mother has problem?
Why she does
No,
not
that is
want to
what we
feed
have to
her?
understand. No, good. It's a nice question. Very good. Is the problem with the mother or is the problem with the child? Okay, good. So if it is with the child, so must be the child has some problems with suckling, correct?
Yeah.
So is there anything to do with the oral cavity? For example, what is it? There are some congenital problems, no?
Cleft palate.
Cleft palate, yes, good. So
Left lip.
the child has been checked for all those things and the child is absolutely fine. Okay. Now, what next? What next?
Any pathology in the mammary?
Huh?
Any pathology in the mammary gland or any galactosele or
Pathology in the
inflammation?
mammary gland. Yes, good thinking. Good, you're on the right track. Pathology in the mammary gland. Beautiful, good. See, she's a known case of fibroadenoma. Okay, fine. So that is one thing. Now, why she has to extract the milk? That was the question I asked her. Kyun? Aisa kyun? I mean, why you have to extract? And that's when she tried to tell me, sir, the milk is very thick. Both gada, both thick hai milk. The child is not able to suck because the milk is very thick. Okay. So forcefully they are putting into the bottle, they are putting into the spoon, and they are trying to feed him. Child is not able to suck because the problem is not with the child. The problem is with the milk. The milk is thick. Now what next? What next? So it's simple, no? I try to understand the emotions of the mother. I try to ask, you are just 22, you finished your MBA. Were you interested in marriage? Were you interested in having kid, etc., etc.? I was trying to understand the thought process behind the mother. Why she is not able? Why she is not willing to feed? Why is the milk becoming thick? Is the thought process that went into my mind. Unfortunately, she was very happy with the child. नहीं डॉक्टर साहब, फर्स्ट बच्चा है, बेटा है, और क्या चाहिए मेरे को, बहुत खुश हूँ, I'm very happy. So that went. Now I had to go the other way, and that's where the particulars can become very important sometimes. So I went and searched for a direct rubric, milk thick, and you have two remedies, borax and calibic. Okay. And this lady was also having that fear of cancer, because she had fibroadenoma, all those things. And borax was prescribed. And I have a video which must be sometime we can share. She shares her experience after borax, where she has told milk has become thin, child is able to suck, I have no more fear of cancer, I'm sleeping very well, etc., etc. And this is what a right homeopathic remedy can do. Okay, so borax and calibec are two remedies which have milk which is thick. And the only repertory that gives this rubric is Fatak's repertory. You'll not get it in your complete repertory. Okay. See, I hope that first part of traveling sickness is clear to you. We'll quickly take another case here. And see, this case, few of my PG students have seen this case, but in the interest of the other participants, I'll quickly share this case. I'll not go into the details. We had this young man, 34 years, okay, young man, and he came to me with absolute loss of voice, and he was to be operated the next day for vocal cord polyp, okay. And it's a very lengthy case. I'll give you only those rubrics that I have taken, and he does a lot of blood donation camps. He himself donates blood. Now, one very important thing, what is shocking about this case here is, see, he can donate blood, but he can't see blood. Okay. See, he should make sure when he is donating blood, he should not see the blood. If at all he sees the blood, he faints. If at all he sees the blood, he faints. Okay. So this case, we took it up, and these were the rubrics that I had taken. Fainting at the sight of blood, benevolence, and polyp. 3 rubrics. Very nice, passionate, ardent young man. And he was prescribed a dose of phosphorus. And what happened after phosphorus? After 3 months, I sent him back to the same ENT surgeon who had advised surgery. And it was he was such a nice gentleman, ENT surgeon. He wrote back to me after doing the laryngoscopy. And if you can read this, dear Dr. Vijay Krishna, congratulations, doctor. Congratulations, it's an excellent improvement. Usually this size of polyp, vocal cord polyp, will not regress with any medicine, including steroids. But now it's completely regressed. And he sends back a letter to me. So what I wanted to try to tell you here is, a simple remedy, phosphorus, single dose, cured this particular case. And even the ENT surgeon was shocked with the improvement. And this gentleman refers laryngeal polyp cases to me. It was a very nice case. But remember the rubrics that I had taken. I'll share you 2 more cases here. One more case was of a young lady who had primary infertility. And the problem here was, whenever they used to try to have physical relationship, she would faint. Okay, this is the second case. This case was taken, and remedy prescribed, and she conceived after that. We have a third case where this lady would faint during her menses. So during her menses, she would vomit excessively, and there would be excess menstrual flow, and then she would faint. Now, what is the rubric you take in this case? The third case that I'm trying to discuss with you. So she would have excess menstrual flow, and she also would vomit 5-6 times, and then she would faint. So what is the rubric? What is the rubric you can think of?
Faintness, menses during.
Okay, but okay, very good. Any other rubrics that you can think of? Faintness,
Mind,
menses
mind
during. That's
consciousness.
a rubric. I don't deny.
Hysteria.
But you are missing
menses
something
during.
else. Huh?
Hysteria
Multiplex
menses
laptop.
during.
Hysteria menses during. Okay. See, but is this hysterical? See, for example, when do you take
The bleeding
hysterical?
was more.
I'll complete a little later. It's there in Cocculus. Okay, very good. The bleeding was more. Then what else other than bleeding? She also would have vomiting. Yeah, blood. Okay, there was excess flow, one. And second thing you are all missing is she also had vomiting. She used to vomit. So what is the common thing that you see in this case? That there is,
Loss of
there
fluid.
is, very good. Somebody
Loss
has filled
Loss
those.
of fluid.
And Dr. Kiran also has given the right answer. So there is loss of vital, I mean, there is loss of fluids. So you have a rubric, fainting, loss of fluids from. So that was the rubric I took. Okay. And she was prescribed Nux Vomica, and she is doing good. Now, why I shared these three cases, and what was the common thing you saw in all the three cases was there was fainting. And when you look at Cocculus also has good amount of fainting. Okay. So we'll try to understand fainting. What is fainting? Fainting is temporary loss of consciousness from lack of blood supply to the body. What? Okay. Okay. So I will continue. What I was trying to tell you is we'll try to understand the symptoms that we have in Cocculus under the rubric fainting. Now, fainting in Cocculus, generally, it will be on rising, okay, in the morning. And wherever I have used the red, it means to say it is 3 marks. So fainting on rising, very characteristic. And fainting on doing some exertion, fainting from excitement. So when they are excited, Cocculus is one of the remedies who can faint. And fainting, as you see the icon, when they're hungry, from hunger they can faint. Not necessarily everybody will faint from hunger, but Cocculus can faint. Now this is what one of the doctors spoke a little while ago, and this is hysterical fainting. And Cocculus is 3 marks under hysterical fainting. See now, what is this hysterical fainting is, you will not see any specific reason, okay? It can be very erratic. Simply, without any reason, you see them fainting, okay? Fine. Or some emotional thing happens, and then they start fainting, okay? So it is more functional. You will not have, see, for example, there will be no hunger, there will be no exertion, there will be no excitement, there will be no cause, just simply like that. You see them fainting. There you can take hysterical. They might have got the MRI done, they might have got the echo done, everything will be fine. But then physical on some emotional excitement can faint. So that is hysterical fainting. We have Cocculus. And Cocculus, the day session 1 we saw, this is a remedy which has strong action on the uterus. Fine. So fainting in uterine complaints, fainting during menopause, fainting before, during, and after menses can also come under Cocculus. So this is something very nice in Cocculus. Fainting from pain. See, fainting from pain, it could be during menses, it could be pain abdomen, and the only remedy listed in your repertoire is fainting pain during stool. Okay, so they start fainting. This fainting riding from, fainting loss of sleep from. This is something very characteristic in Cocculus. Fainting after stool. Okay, fainting after vomiting, and fainting on moving. See, movement in calculus will have a lot of issues, okay? And fainting associated with nausea. These are all the fainting symptoms you have in calculus, okay? Now, the desires, very important. See, many times, we can enter the case through desires. And what is that characteristic desire you have in calculus is they have desire for mustard, alcohol, meat, pungent drinks. Similarly, a strong aversion you have in calculus is they have aversion to cheese, cabbage, smell of food, eggs and sour things. Okay. Now this is very important. Now what do you see from this clock here? What you understand here is I'm trying to tell you about periodicity. Okay. Mind you, we are talking of syphilitic entry points of calculus. Okay. Periodicity, when it is marked, it means to say it is very syphilitic. The more the periodicity, the more the syphilitic that symptom is. We have people coming, symptoms coming every year, symptoms coming same hour. In calculus, periodicity, symptoms come at same hour. A better remedy, clinically proven remedy, you all know is Sidran. Okay. Now, another very important thing I want to highlight here is there is a rubric in your repertory, relaxation of muscles and the connective tissues. Now, quickly, I need a small interaction from your side. When is this rubric taken? What is the utility of this particular rubric? Quickly, if somebody can add their inputs, it will be nice. When do we take this rubric? Now, Dr. Pragati has a question, sir, isn't desires and aversion psychosis? See, desires is psychosis and aversions will be more of syphilitic. Okay, desires will be more of psychosis. See, again, what is the kind of desires you have? For example, if you have desire for something, very, what is it? For example, indigestible things, okay? Or if you have desire for pungent things, or if you have desire for something that is not generally desirable, then that can become syphilitic. Okay, not necessarily all desires are psychotic. Generally, they're psychotic. But see, what is the desire and what is the extent of the desire? Fine. For example, if it is craving, it is too much, you can consider it to be syphilitic. And having desires for unusual things, abnormal things can be syphilitic. Cravings for abnormal things can be syphilitic. And aversions, though, they're pakka syphilitic. They're not psychotic. Hope that is clear. We'll come back. Anyway, you got some time because we had a question there. Relaxation of muscles or relaxation, when do you take this rubric? This is very, very important. And calculus is a remedy given under 3 marks. Given under 3 marks. Anybody? Relaxation of muscles.
When any impulse or any stimuli is stopped to a muscle.
Okay, when any impulse, stimuli is stopped. Okay, something better. This
Prolapse
is one of our.
Prolapse.
Okay, Dr. Manohar has written hernia, absolutely right. Okay. See, now what I want you to understand here is, see, you need to learn something. That's the main idea. Now, you can learn calculus or you can learn rubrics or you can learn cases. It all depends. Now, what I want you to understand here is, when you talk of the rubric relaxation, it means to say there is elastin less. Okay. So, for example, where we use in our clinic is we either use in we either use in this thing, what is it, hernias. Dr. Sufia says tendency for sprains, very good. Naturally, the tendons, the ligaments, we are using the connective tissue also here. So the tendons, the ligaments, they are relaxed. So naturally, they are more prone for sprains. So a person who has a tendency for sprains, as Manohar said, hernia, okay, or you have ptosis, or you have incontinence of urine, you have prolapse, uterine prolapse and all these things, no? There you can use this rubric, relaxation of muscles, okay? So instead of using the rubric directly hernia, or you see in the past history, this lady underwent hysterectomy because of prolapse. Now she has got hernia and she's prone for sprains. So please take this rubric under generalities. You have a rubric, relaxation of muscles. This rubric can be taken. And from what we are learning from Sir, from SCPH plus classes, Sir uses this rubric for pathological entry point for cerebral palsy or muscular dystrophy. Sir often use this rubric. Okay. Now, one more very important thing. See, when there is relaxation, can somebody tell me what is the mind of this particular person? Quick. It should be quick.
Shock.
One mental symptom.
Weak-willed.
More than shock. Huh?
Weak-willed. Will weak.
Okay. Will more than will weak. I'll also give a beautiful
Dullness.
clue here. You can go for
They've given
yielding.
up.
Dullness.
Given up
Dullness.
on
Yielding is the rubric. Okay. So people who have elastinless, okay, emotionally they are the people who will be very yielding. For example, tomorrow you have a case of hernia in your clinic, left inguinal hernia, right inguinal hernia. Mind you, this man is a weak-willed person, and definitely somewhere you would have yielded, and that's why this has come out. If it is left, look for the blood relationship. If it is right, look for the partner, look for the office things, look for the financial issues, and you can beautifully solve the case. Okay. I have cases of inguinal hernia. I have cases of umbilical hernia. I also have a flop case of inguinal hernia. That will not bother right now, but many cases, we could help with homeopathic medicines, with scan reports. We can share it. Okay. So that's with the relaxation of muscles. Yielding is the emotional thing you need to understand. And neurologically, cocculus gets indicated in a lot of conditions. We'll be a little quick here. On the sensory nerves, you see numbness. For example, these are all 3 marks things in your repertory: numbness of soles, numbness of foot, numbness of legs, hands. Under cocculus, you have 3 marks. Motor nerves, it will cause paralysis, it will cause convulsions. It's a very good remedy for MS, multiple sclerosis, neuralgias, analgesias, and all those things. And paralysis, I have 2 very important things to share with you here, though I have not used cocculus. See, only if you know, we can apply it better. Okay, so must be the exercise of sharing cocculus with you is you can use cocculus often henceforth in your clinic if you have a better understanding of cocculus. So paralysis which is painless and with exaggerated reflexes. Now this is a very important point. I was discussing with Dr. Swati this afternoon. See, now exaggerated reflexes, you'll have to be very careful. This is very common in upper motor neuron lesion. Okay. In lower motor neuron lesion, the reflexes will be nil, or reflexes will be very sluggish or dull. So if it is a case of upper motor lesion coming to you, and then there is exaggeration of reflexes, it's a common symptom. Don't think of cocculus there. But if it is a lower motor neuron lesion and then you see exaggerated reflexes, then it becomes PQRS. Then you can think of cocculus. Okay. Coldness of the affected part and one-sided paralysis, hemiplegia, mainly left-sided. And conversions, you have got something very characteristic. Only remedy which has conversions, which comes from loss of sleep, only remedy, and conversions from sudden checked menses or from non-appearances of cocculus. Now, another very important area that I want to stress here is, I'll share a small case and then we'll take up this. We had a lady around 58, 60 years old lady who had fever, and she didn't come to me directly. She went to an allopath. There they gave a lot of antibiotics. She didn't feel better. Fever continued. Again, a second course of higher antibiotics was prescribed. And after taking that antibiotics, she developed extreme weakness, and that's when she came to me. Sir, I'm not happy that something is happening. 5 days they gave one medicine, now they've changed another medicine. And after I have started this medicine, I feel totally exhausted. I feel totally weak. This is the beauty. Now, how do you interpret, how do you convert this into the repertorial language?
Bad effects
Yeah,
of
see, Dr. Ishwar Murthy has also, one second. Dr. Ishwar Murthy also has shared something like, for example, resignation can also be taken. Anyway, we'll think of, but as what I've used in my practice, I generally go with yielding when it comes to relaxation. Okay, resignation is also a kind of giving up. Could be a higher syphilitic remedy. We can think of that also. Thanks, Dr. Ishwar. We'll come back to this case. What is it? How do you convert this into a rubric? I've given you the case. Short case. Acutes will not bother much. No?
There is no 100 vertex.
Huh? Bad effects
Weakness
of antibiotics.
antibiotics.
Okay, there is a rubric,
Then
weakness antibiotics from under your generalities, and the only remedy that you have
Carbovec.
is Carbovec. Okay, so Carbovec is the, yes, Carbovec is the remedy. She was prescribed Carbovec and must be on a better platform. I'll share the video also. After 3 days, what she felt, how she felt, and all those things. The top under weakness in general is where your calculus is placed. So weakness which comes mainly from exertion. Slightest exertion can bring on weakness in calculus, and weakness also from mental exertion. Mental stress can bring on weakness. Many uterine complaints. For example, before menses, during menses, after menses, the lady feels very weak, so weak that she can scarcely stand or she can scarcely speak. She can hardly speak. That is the amount of weakness she has. 3 remedies, I put it in brackets. One is alumina, the other one is carbonimalis, the other one is stanamet. Can somebody quickly differentiate these 3 remedies so that we'll also have some interaction and we can go ahead. How is it in alumina? How is it in carbonimalis? And how is it in stannum? We'll start from stannum. How is it in stannum?
Stannum extreme weakness with the
Dropped into the chair.
Yeah, somebody has written, sir, stannum, it's after talking, absolutely right, Dr. Bharati, yes, absolutely right. Stannum will have weakness
Drops into the
after
chair.
talking.
Weakness
Yes,
mainly
drops
felt in
into the
chest.
chair. Good. What is it?
Weakness mainly felt in chest.
Yeah, beautiful. That's what I wanted. See, now that's what I want you to understand. When we talk of weakness, see the personalization of each remedy. See how they get, localized. In stannum, you don't see generalized debility. The debility in stannum is felt, as some doctor rightly said, is felt in the chest. This is the point I want you to mark. Sir, I feel weak. Where? See, when we ask for weakness, when patient complains weakness, we generally don't go beyond. We assume. You please make this question. Ask him, where do you feel weak? Which part of your body feels weak? That can give you some clarity. In stannum, the weakness is in chest. And stannum I have successfully used in those patients who had bronchitis, who had pneumonia, who had chest affections. And after those chest affections go, they go away and then the weakness persists. This is where stannum gets indicated. Carbonimalis is mainly weakness which comes from lifting. Alumina, weakness which mainly comes from leukorrhea, from discharges, okay, lack of animal heat, all those things will go in favor of alumina, okay. So continuing with weakness, you also have nervous weakness in calculus, 3 marks. Weakness, see, this is very, very characteristic in this particular remedy, calculus, and I have prescribed this to a lady who would feel drained. And why is she feeling drained is her mother-in-law is sick and wholeheartedly she would take care of her mother-in-law and she would feel drained. So calculus is the remedy. Now, how does it, how is it given in your repertory is that nursing and staying up the sick persons and then they feel weak. It is calculus. Calculus. Please remember calculus. Loss of sleep can also give rise to weakness. These are 3 mark remedies in calculus. So this is with weakness. Another very important symptom I want to highlight here is there are a lot of alternating states in calculus. We'll go a little quick. These are all the symptoms in calculus which are alternating. You can see the PPT here. Irritability alternating with cheerfulness, anger alternating with cheerfulness, delirium alternating with deep sleep, jesting alternating with vexation, flatulence lying on alternate sides. This is the only remedy. Coldness of hands alternating, tingling, pricking alternating with numbness, hands alternates with feet, feet alternates with hand, meaning the tingling and pricking, no, they keep alternating. Once it is in the hand and then it is in the feet. So if you have something like this, alternating states, these symptoms you can think of cocculus. Okay. Now, very important in cocculus, another important point before I forget here is, now if you see this box here, and this box purposely I've taken a box which is empty, which is hollow. You have a lot of hollow, empty feeling in chest, in abdomen, and in head. Head, you all know, cocculus is a intellectually very dull person. So many times we keep scolding, no, there's nothing in your head. Your head is empty. So this is where cocculus can fit in. That empty sensation in head. Sir, I feel there's nothing in head. Emptiness in chest. And another area where they feel empty is the abdomen. Okay. So they feel the entire abdomen is empty, as if there are no viscera, there are no organs in the abdomen, and the abdomen feels empty. Very important in cocculus, you have to remember. Okay. So quickly, I'll not go typically from head to toe. I'll try to take up a few characteristic syphilitic entry points, particular entry points of cocculus. Till now, what we spoke are all general syphilitic entry points. Now, quickly, next 5-10 minutes, we'll try to wind off with the particular symptoms. Vertigo in cocculus mainly comes from loss of sleep, from riding. See, and vertigo, we have from your experience, there are people who say, sir, I feel that I might fall, or somebody might really fall. Now, the next question we ask them is, which side you feel like falling? This is a very relevant question. In cocculus, they have this tendency to fall sideways. See, tendency to fall back, tendency to fall forward, they are not cocculus. Cocculus is tendency to fall sideways. See, another very important point in cocculus is vertigo, which is of ear pathology. Okay. So what I want you to understand here and remember here is, tomorrow you have a case of Meniere's. Okay. Don't blindly give cocculus. Try to understand the case. As my sir says, cocculus is typical Indian women. So you see that cocculus mind, meaning she's very caring, she's a loving lady, very yielding lady, very adjusting lady, and she has this ear pathology and she's got vertigo. Please think of cocculus, and I'm sure it will not disappoint you. Symptoms related to head here. See, now related to vertigo, another remedy is conium, which I use often, provided the indication is conium will have vertigo in bed. Okay. We had a case recently, a homeopathic doctor calling, and this doctor telling me, sir, I am not able to get up from my bed. I am on my bed, and any movement on the bed causes vertigo. So this homeopath we had prescribed conium, and by afternoon, she diligently messaged me back telling, sir, I'm feeling much better. Thank you. And she did not have vertigo after that. So vertigo in conium is mainly, from the movement on bed. You can think of conium, beautiful remedy. So empty feeling in head, and see, conium is a remedy which has occipital affections, very important. You don't see frontal or you don't see other areas getting affected, mainly occipital area. Okay, and occipital affections, pain extends to the neck, and it is accompanied with nausea and eye affections. See, under eye, I would like to highlight one point, and what is that one point is hemiopia, where they don't, or they have blindness for right half. For example, if you are standing, the right of yours they are not able to see, or an object right of they are not able to see. We have similarly remedies where they can't see the left half, the upper half and lower half. The remedies are different. Okay, and here you have something very characteristic. I have put the image of dog, and dog we all know is known for its capacity to smell. Okay, its capacity to smell. So the smell in cocculus is very acute. Okay, there is acute smell, and the smell, acuteness and sensitiveness to smell. Like for example, what happens is when they smell cooking food, like your colchicum, cocculus also can have nausea. And another very important thing is not only the smell, the hearing is again very, very sensitive. See the beauty of the remedy in cocculus, so acute that noises cause nausea. The only other remedy you have is pteridion. Any other remedies that comes to your mind? Acuteness to noise, sensitive to noise.
Nux vomica.
Okay, Nux is sensitive to noise. Good, agreed. Any other remedies? Sensitive to
Asaram
noise.
Europe.
Very good.
Asaram
Beautiful. This is the yes, absolutely right. This is what I wanted. Asaram, a rare remedy, but you can explore. Very sensitive. Even they say like what is it? Crushing of paper can cause irritation. And another remedy is lysine. Can somebody tell me the lysine?
Sound of
Asaram
water.
is right. Huh? Okay. No, I'm talking to you about the sensitiveness of noise in lysine. There's something very characteristic in lysine, and that's the only remedy. See, lysine is, more than water. More than water. See, water, you've got plenty of remedies. You also have cantharis, you got a lot of other remedies. Now, what is that you have in lysine is, see, when somebody is eating an apple or somebody is chewing, no, even that sound, no, that irritates them. Okay. They're so sensitive even to somebody's chewing food, and that is lysine. Okay. And how is it in pteridion? Pteridion, every noise penetrates. Fine. See, the noise is, they're painfully sensitive to noise. They feel the noise is penetrating their teeth, their bones, etc. Okay. So that is pteridion. Fine. So going ahead, what you also have is distension of abdomen. Now, why I have put cocculus here is distension of abdomen during menses and enlarged liver from anger. This is the only remedy. So please keep this in your mind, enlarged liver from anger. Related to sleep, you can have two very important symptoms. One, they might have sleeplessness. You know why they have sleeplessness. There's a lot of anxiety about the sick person, about caring about the sick person. And one more very characteristic symptom I found in your repertory when I was searching for cocculus is, can only sleep on her abdomen with one hand under her head. The only other remedy you have here is Antarctus, which is nothing but scorpion. Huh? And now coming to the miasm. Can you guess from whatever we have understood, what is the miasmatic background of cocculus? We have almost spoke for 5 hours, cocculus. So what could be the probable miasm? Huh?
Pseudosyphilis.
Okay, pseudosyphilis. See, now if you see the pathology, you don't see more of growth, you don't see more of indurations in cocculus. It acts on esophagus, it acts on stomach. Mainly it will cause inflammation. And it can also cause paralysis, and it can also cause all those syphilitic things. So from my understanding, the miasmatic background of cocculus is more sorosyphilitic. Okay, sorosyphilitic. And the last part, the modalities, fine. These are all the aggravating factors. Don't forget night watching, don't forget loss of sleep, don't forget riding. They're all very, very important and characteristic in cocculus. Amelioration, sitting and lying on side. Thermally, cocculus is a chilly patient. Okay. And another entry point from Sir's book, what I want to try to tell you is, when cocculus comes under repertorization, we make sure we ask one question. And what is that one question is, can you go for these rides? Okay. Like for example, giant wheel, can you go for rides? 99.9%, if they are cocculus, immediately they say, sir, no, never, I can't go. See here again, the same thing applies. The problem with accommodation, like, the eye, the movement, the the impulse that goes to the brain, these three things that will get disturbed. And they might start vomiting, they might start puking. So please make sure you ask this question. And I have confirmed from my practice, and we have given cocculus, when they say that, no, sir, I can't, no, I can never. From the patient's expression, you can realize how prominent it is in her. Okay.
So they
this
can't
is
see
in
also.
short. Yeah, they can't see also. Yeah, accommodation. No, they have problems. See, if they sit and if it starts going up and down, no, they can't see. They have problems with the visual and of course the movement. Okay. So what we are trying to do is, we are trying to understand calculus in a different way, and hope this exercise will be fruitful. You can use calculopathic remedy, can be studied from the pathogenesis, from the mind, in terms of emotions, will understanding in the mathematic way, and of course the syphilitic entry points. If you have any questions, I'll quickly take up the questions. Any questions, you can unmute and you can ask me so that that can be taken care. Okay. If you have no questions, then I will just see if you have done justice to the objectives that were planned. We recall the symptoms of calculus. In the first session, I have given you the pathogenesis, I have given you the ailments. In the second, third, and fourth session, we have understood the intellectual symptoms, the mental picture. We have classified the mentals mathematically, and the participants who have not attended, you can see the YouTube recordings we have uploaded on YouTube. Characteristic symptoms are nothing but our syphilitic entry points, which we discussed today. And we have tried to compare and contrast wherever possible the related remedies. Okay. And of course, the clinical indications from whatever I've tried to give, you know that it can be indicated in a lot of clinical conditions, as simple as manias to something complicated like paralysis, convulsions, multiple sclerosis. You got a lot of complaints for which you can indicate. And I've also tried to share cases wherever it was possible. So this was all about calculus, and a big thank you for patiently hearing. And I'm happy we could conclude calculus, because many were worried, sir, calculus 5 hours, calculus 5 hours. So, but I personally feel if you know a remedy or if you study a remedy like this, then the reflection in your practice or the application in your practice becomes easy. See what happens when we don't know, how will we apply? So to apply, we should know. And this is the exercise that we have made. And I thank Dr. Manohar and Dr. Harsha for the opportunity, and all the participants. It was very nice. You have interacted beautifully. So thank you for being part of this, and hope it was a good learning. And if given an opportunity, we'll try to take more remedies like this in future classes. Thank you all for your excellent cooperation. Okay. So we'll stop. Dr. Manohar.